kunnat ge förut. Det finns ingen annan där som kan stå här by my side, oh why. Sättet du rör på det får mig att dö för dig baby. För de här yardis, de vill ju bara dra ner oss. Men du är fett och vanlig. Och det jag lägger av min tid, jag vill ha dig. Du får mig känna safety. Jag kan nog leda baby. Och jag kommer aldrig ändra mig. Aldrig.
Everyone speak about slavery, but they don't say shit about the Gullah wars. Nah, it wasn't just Haiti. Shout out to Tucson and Overtour. Gullah Geechee, that is my culture. We fought America with all the Seminoles. We did hoodoo and voodoo too. Slave masters, they couldn't take no more. We made Abraham sign the Emancipation Proclamation. Cause we wasn't starving, this is our land, and we was gonna fuck it.
Yeah, man.
What's up?
Bringing some new flavor to the table, huh? That was good.
Yeah,
that was nice.
Yeah, man.
Hey, man, that young boy, he spit that verse, man. It's 51 seconds of fire. You know.
Yeah.
I researched him. He's from down Charleston, man. Young boy who did this.
He's from around the way.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to hit him up, see if we can, get a line to him. But how y'all doing, man?
Man, everything is good, man. It's been an eventful week. Been doing a few things. Got to chop it up with the brother from the House of Hathor, brother Rutaski. I went down there and chopped it up with him for a minute. If you ain't had a chance to see it, check out my interview with Bernice Alexander on the Ancestors podcast, where I was talking about the history of the Edisto Gullah Geechee people. So, like I say, if you ain't had a chance to see it, go ahead and check it out.
Hey, that was a great interview, by the way.
Yeah, you knocked it out the park, man. Like me and the whole fam was listening to it.
Man, well, it was an experience, man. But it was a good time, man. Bernice did a wonderful job with me, and I enjoyed it. Yeah, man. The other thing going on around here in South Carolina today is our folks is going to be down in Savannah for the Gullah Fest. That's happening this afternoon around about 1:00, I believe. But if you got a chance to go down there, or if you are there, go ahead and check it out because they got some headliners, some big headliners. So if you can check that out, boom, that's something to do today. And I'm sure there's other events coming up around the Orangeburg area. People getting ready to go back to school. There's a lot of events going on. I also saw something where our good friend Dr. Curry was something with his family down there in Aiken. They're introducing a new highway or something like that. Are you aware of that, Dom?
I saw a post, something along them lines. Like I had to go back and look.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man. So that's what's up. That sounds good, man. It sounds real good. And shout out to Sister Yogi, Sister Yolanda Bryant, Dr. Yolanda Bryant for organizing the Fusky Day Gullah Fest down there in Beaufort today. Matter of fact, I believe it's going to be at the historic Mitchellville Park. Y'all make sure I get down there. They got a serious lineup. They have from Queen Quet to 803 Fresh. So you just go down there and have a great time and support our sister who's really putting on for the Fusky right now, and our fellow member of the Gullah Nation of North America. With no further ado, I want to kind of prepare the way and segue into our special guest today, man. Some of y'all are familiar with Baba Ajamu. Baba Ajamu is a lifelong friend and relative brother of Baba Ajamu. For myself, I met Baba Ajamu in the movement. I met Baba Ajamu moving around. I was organizing, found myself in Atlanta in 2012. And because we was connected on Facebook and our mentality was the same, we realized that, man, we got this Orangeburg connection. We took on like a family relationship. He like my aunt, like my big cuz, naturally. And I was supposed to get with him in Atlanta, but I didn't. I was moving crazy back then, moving around, organizing. But it's an honor. It's an honor to have Baba Ajamu here. Baba Ajamu is one of the founders of the Gullah Nation of North America, along with Baba Darrell Orange, the late Harold Hillary, and other people who came together to create this platform for us the next generation to be able to organize and educate ourselves. So, with no further ado, I'd like to bring them out. And Baba Ajamu, I believe it's only proper for you to take it from there.
Man, I cannot say enough about this brother Baba Ajamu and his family, the McClennon family. I've known them for generations, and Chief said it all. Let's bring Baba Ajamu out, man, and let him do his thing, man. I have a lot of respect for his brother.
Baba,
What's up? What's up?
Africana, let's go.
Too, Africana.
Greetings, greetings.
Greetings, Baba.
Yeah.
Peace, brother.
Yeah, man. We give praises to the Gungun, our ancestors, for us being able to connect on this technological level. You know, we've already been connected on a spiritual level because of the ancestors, right? So this is a great honor for me and great pleasure to be able to build with you brothers and get in this cipher. You know, I've been an observer all along. You know, at this point in life, there's not too much more I can do in activism other than try to be as active as I can be, you know. And that's something that, you know, it's like, I don't know, born in me, bred in me or whatever, but it's something I know is appropriate. What's going on right now with you brothers, with Gullah House and our nation and all the efforts that you've been putting in, Bode, and then Baba Mujay comes along, and then Brother Dom comes along. It's an amazing process to watch, you know, because our people need this, man. We really are in an amazing state of existence right now, post-COVID, because you know the world is different.
He'll be
the
back.
world is different now, and a lot of people aren't recognizing that.
You know, would he
I
get
can
back?
hear him.
Okay, you hear him?
Yeah.
Okay, this is happening again. I might blip out if you can hear me. Am I coming in clear?
Yeah, you good.
Okay. I'm out here kind of far out of the country, so the signal might not be that
you can
good.
talk.
I don't know.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, y'all can hear me. Okay. Well, you know, I was just saying, before they will be back in a bit, that this time that we in now, we really have to really tune in and zone in on this frequency that is very powerful, but too many people are not in tune with, in terms of unification of African people worldwide, you know. And that's like the challenge, right? The generations coming up. That young brother that was dropping those bars, see, I saw him whenever it hit the internet, you know, I caught that. Pode may have sent it to me like right away, but I was like, yes, this is the generation. It's happening. You know, we still here?
Yeah, you good?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, sound quality. Now I'm out. Now I'm back. We'll work it out. Now I'm saying this generation coming up, these youngsters that are cluing in to their Gullah heritage, that's cluing in to Ifa, as they call it, you know, because their kids will ask me, you Ifa? And I'll be like, well, I'm not Ifa. That's the oracle, but I am a devotee of Yoruba traditions, of the Orishas. Oh, yeah, my cousin, you know, he's into that, you know, and I'm watching it happen, and I'm like, every time.
Yeah,
but
you're definitely right. It's something happening, man. You know, in terms of just people going back to the African consciousness. You know, reconnecting with Africa in so many ways, and there's so much against that right now too. It's so much being put out in the media and the music to kind of distract that consciousness. It's like young people who are looking for self, they're being distracted deliberately. And I don't understand clearly how we're supposed to do anything against that other than what we're doing. Teaching people to go into their own genealogy, teaching people to go research their own local history, teaching people to embrace that identity, and then consider an alternative spiritual path. That's the only thing we really can offer people in terms of, you know, redemption and rehabilitation. You know, it's all do for self. You got to apply it to yourself.
There you go.
You know?
100% right.
Yes.
I mean, I tell you what we witnessed, man. It's a roots. We're witnessing a roots renaissance, like what I coined 2 years back.
Hey, let me tell you, man, I got the opportunity, the chance to talk to Baba. It was a sad occasion, but we got a chance to meet a couple of weeks ago. And I was not surprised, but I was happy to hear him mention the Gullah heritage at his cousin's funeral. He brought it back, man. He said, "Don't forget, remember who we are." So I was glad to hear him say that. Let me take you back a little further, Ajamu. Now, you've heard me say that our families have known each other for generations. My grandfather, Papa Joe, knew Mr. Henry and Miss Sadie, and up on the hill where y'all come from, on Albert Street and all that. Jameson, man, you could tell us about the early days when you was coming up through Orangeburg, going to State College, and you know, getting familiarizing yourself with your Yoruba heritage, your Yoruba culture.
Yeah, man, that's a great question, and it's a lot. I'm not gonna try to be too long-winded. Okay, so up in New York, I'm in my sophomore year of high school, and at that time, this is 1972. That's when the gangs were really strong in New York, right? I'm traveling across the city every day to go to high school at Bronx Science. You know, I said it before with Stokely Kwame Ture went to school, and Neil deGrasse Tyson. Tyson was actually a year behind me in school, but this is a very prestigious school. The city was crazy. Me and fellas just wanted to stay after school and play ball. You know, we had a couple of ball players amongst us, so we were from all over the city, so we hooped. And a white gang started harassing us in the neighborhood that the school was in. And I started, at that time is when I really started studying African tradition and history. This would have been second year in high school. Our library had some pretty good books. Melville Herskovitz was an anthropologist that wrote a book about Black folks. And I was like, dang, you know, this dude's dropping a lot of information here about our history, culturally, and I wanted more, right? So God's plan, ancestors' plan was, you got to get out of New York before something happened, because we had to throw down with those Europeans, those Tubobs, you know, those Bucklers, a couple of different times. It was about 10 of us. They was coming at us with weapons and whatnot. It was crazy, man. So like I decided I'm gonna go down south and live with my grandparents. My little brother was down there, and he wasn't really being connected to the McClennon side of his family, you know, because we had different mothers. His mother raised me. So going down south was something that I was used to, spending many summers down there. And I had a couple of friends I knew from hooping down there. And so the transition was from a prestigious, one of the top high schools in the country, to Orangeburg High School. Orangeburg Wilkinson High School. Okay, it had just become Orangeburg Wilkinson like 3 years before I got there. Got there in 73.
Yeah.
Schools had just integrated fully in 1970. Here comes, at that time, I was Khalid Abdul Khalil, because I had made Shahada when I was 15, and I was Fruit of Islam for a little while, having been a Panther Cub. Coming down in 1973 Orangeburg, 5 years after the Orangeburg massacre. So talk about culture shock. To say the least, bro, to say the least. But the thing for me, my grandparents' home was only like less than a half mile from South Carolina State. I could walk straight down Campus Drive, cross over Whitaker Parkway, go through the hole in the fence, in the back fence by the tennis courts. I'm on campus.
Yeah,
So I was a baller. So what I started doing, I would go to school, go to campus during that summer, and play ball at Duke's gym, which is where all the college kids were playing ball, cats that were in summer school, football players, all of that. And that's how I initially got connected to South Carolina State, even at that young age. But more so than the basketball court, Duke's gym, the Whitaker Library is what got me. The library was kind of new at that time, but they had a collection, what they called the special collection, in the basement of Whitaker Library. And in that collection were some of the great books, hardcovers, that had ever been written by or about Black folks. And I was an avid reader. I was like a voracious reader. And so junior in high school, I spent more time on South Carolina State's campus than I did home or in the neighborhood, like that. If I go play ball, I was playing ball on campus. So I spent a lot of time up on that campus even before I enrolled. And that book collection, I just had a chance basically to develop independent study. The only thing was I couldn't check the books out.
Right.
So I would spend hours and hours and hours down in that basement going through all kinds of different volumes of works by some of our greatest scholars. I don't want to try and start naming them all because it's not easy to do that, because it was all there. It was all there. I was blown away by that, right? Because I had been going to the Liberation Bookstore up in New York. So the thing of having access to that kind of information at that young age really sort of formed and shaped my destiny, really. So now I decided to get out of high school because it wasn't working for me. I mean, Orangeburg at that time was just getting introduced to herb. And so we had a lot of young people that was coming to school high, coming to school drunk. And, I'm a blerd. I was a Black nerd, man. I was like one of them smart kids, and they put all these smart classes, but I couldn't vibe with them because they didn't have no consciousness. So up on campus, though, at that time, Pop Dukes was up there. Yeah. And Pop Dukes was a member of the Nation of Islam. And his wife, Ma Dukes, and their last name actually was Dukes. That's the deep part about that. Yeah. And they lived over there at Estill Gardens. So I, kind of connected with him. He was a fruit man. He used to be out there with his cart, and he would have bananas, oranges, apples, all kinds of good fruit for the students by the student center. And that's when, it just dawned on me, I should go to college. There's no need to stay at OW, come on up here so I can get that cart, my student ID, and I can check books out. So, and those 4 straight years, because of forces that we can't really explain, allowed me to be connected to the basketball team, men's varsity team for my freshman year, and I had to put in some time as a staff member before coach said, if you want to go after that scholarship, you can try out.
I think he dropped.
Yeah, man. Dang.
But yeah, man. Hey, man, that was some amazing history right there, because it's pretty much similar to my own history.
Yeah.
I know the days he was talking about. Even in New York, I know where the Bronx High School of Science is. I went to high school across from there. I went to D. Clinton. And the days that he talked, I did everything he's talking about is very familiar to me.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's amazing because it seems like it's the ongoing narrative in terms of Orangeburg having this strong connection to New York.
Yeah.
And people leaving from the same neighborhoods in Orangeburg, the same churches, the same communities in Orangeburg, and going to meet up and be community and family again in New York or in Philadelphia or in DC. I'm talking about the story of the Great Migration. Y'all great migrators. right? We don't gotta go to no book. We can go right to our elders here.
Exactly.
We can get an inside understanding of what it was like for y'all to live your lives, because y'all were great migrators, man. For real.
Hey, that's exactly what it was. There was a time, man, when people from Orangeburg, when people from Carolina would meet up in New York and Brooklyn, and it was Baba Ajamu's family, the McClennons, who took me and my mother in when we first got to New York. It was his cousin Bobby and Kevin who showed me the ropes. So I was just a little country boy from Orangeburg when I got to New York. I didn't know nothing about New York. Kevin and Bobby showed me the road, and I used to tease his cousins Neva and Carol all the time. But we had that cohesiveness of being from Orangeburg, because his aunt's house was a gathering place. Everybody from Orangeburg would gather at the McClennon household in Brooklyn. That's what it was, man. And you know what they was doing, man? They was playing tunk. They was playing spades. They was playing all, pity pat and doing barbecue. Everybody was from down south, man. Everybody had that Orangeburg connection. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first people who took me to Coney Island was the McClennons, the McClennon family. My mother always took me by Baba Ajamu's grandparents' house on Alva Street. Everybody on the hill knew everyone.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing, because I'm thinking, like, at that time, you got people like Eartha Kitt from Orangeburg there.
Yeah.
New York busy. You got like a lot of the big stars in New York at that time are Orangeburg migrants.
My two uncles and I think my aunt, they were up there as well. So I'm sitting here wondering, did they know the McClennons? Like, I don't know. I'm wondering.
Hey, you know what, y'all? I would not be surprised, because people have a way of knowing where everybody is at, and they have a way of popping out. You could be sitting around in the house chilling with your friends, and all of a sudden they'd be like, "Hey, somebody just arrived from the Berg," and that's how it was, man. People would just pop up. 95 was a hot spot. I mean, we used to burn up. We used to burn up 95, coming back and forth from New York to Philly and all those kind of places, man. It was. That was I guess I could say that was a magical time in the 70s.
The 70s. And the 70s, they say that the Great Migration technically ended in like 72. Like that's when people really stopped packing up and thinking the North was better and moving. People just kind of stayed where they was at, right? So that 1960s era, that 1950s era, all that struggle, all that condensed civil rights struggle, Black Power struggle. You can imagine the kind of stress it put on families and individuals who want to pursue education or jobs. So, the driving forces behind why people were moving, they're so real and so relevant, because right now people are reversing that migration now. The descendants of those people who went up there and established community in New York and in Baltimore and in Philly, now their grandchildren are turning around and coming back.
Yeah, they want to be down south.
And as they do that, this is what's happening, because we have to have a reintroduction to our own history, our own culture. We have to learn who our ancestors are in that process. We got to know how to move once we get back from them cities and we get back down in the country.
Yeah.
So it's a whole knowledge and cultural exchange. Baba Ajamu, maybe you can talk about that, because you lived up there for mad long. And then you came back, and you've been down south for like 20 joints now right now.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on, y'all.
That's exactly.
It's kind of cuckoo right now.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go, Baba.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what it was, man. It was a time, like I say, a time when families stuck together, when they would take you in. We we didn't have nothing when we first arrived in New York. It was a blessing for the McClennons to take us in. You know, my mother was looking for a job. You know, she was trying to get away from the events that was going on in Orangeburg at the time. You know, we was just recovering from the massacre, from all the civil rights era and all that. They was the first generation. No, well, not the first generation, but they was that generation that got college degrees and everything and went up north and got them city jobs. And then it was people like me, people from my generation who came back down south and you know, to live. What we learned in New York, we brought it back down south. The same bookstore that Baba Ajamu was talking about, the Liberation Bookstore in Harlem. Wow. Man, I spent so much time at that bookstore, man. It was amazing. I knew the owner. My mother knew the owner. Man, all kind of people, all kind of Harlemite people would be in and out of there. Man, it was amazing, and they had books from everywhere. I mean,
man, it's crazy, you know. And then, go ahead, Baba. Sorry.
Oh, we had books from Ivan Van Sertima, from Dr. Ben, from John Henry Clark. I was reading all those books as a young man. I was learning about Kwame Ture and Louis Farrakhan. And I don't know, I may have told you guys about my own, who I consider to be my first two mentors, Sinq Ali and Abu Bakr, who took me to Mosque number 7 in Harlem. That's where I used to hang out at, you know, and on the campus of BMCC with Kwame Ture. All right, Baba, are you back?
Yeah, Baba, you back?
Yeah.
So Baba, you said 1972 when you went back down south, right? You went back down to 72? I think you might be stuck, right? Oh man. Well, what I was gonna say was that it's interesting because like my household didn't leave Orangeburg until 72, right? We was down there. My mama was down there. My siblings and them, they born down there, raised down there. So my own family, my own household, they didn't leave Orangeburg for Pennsylvania until 1972. You know, I was born 7 years later. But it's interesting because I seen that. The people who was like your generation around me or the generation above you around me, they had that I-95 mentality. They was always moving up and down, up and down, up and down. And we'd be the little kids right there in the trucks with them, right there in the station wagon with them, right? We got peanut butter jelly sandwiches, we got fried chicken, right? So I was there. I was an observer to, you know, us going down south to come up with peaches and come up with watermelons and just going for the ride because just riding along because Unc said, "Hey, let me take nephew with me." So it's good to hear that it was a tradition that you hear it being passed down generation to generation. Some people think that we lost our connection when we went to them cities. Now, Baba Ajamu and Baba Ajamu went to New York. I grew up in Little York. I grew up in Old York, a small little city, York, Pennsylvania. But in that city, the majority of the Black people have this same connection. They have the same connection to the Midlands and the Low Country of South Carolina. So it's amazing. It's amazing that we practice the same culture.
Of course, man, because the Philly people and the Orangeburg people were very much connected.
Absolutely. Because I visited family, went on a family vacation to Philly 10 years ago, and man, the Tylers, they deep in Philly.
They deep in York. They deep where I'm from.
In York and Philly, deep.
Mm-hmm. My aunts and uncles used to, whenever they would hear that SC State was having a football game in Philly, we had to go. We had to go over to the Grambling games, the Morgan games. I saw some great football games coming up, and it was great to go and see that because you would connect with people from back home. You know, they was in Philly, but we was in New York. And I mean, from the Bronx where I was located at, Philly was maybe an hour or two away. It wasn't nothing to drop to jump on the Mount Vernon line and cross over to Philly.
Yeah, real quick.
And real quick, and teenagers like me would go over there to chase little girls and things like that, man. That's what we used to do, man. Even
So Baba Ajamu, can you hear us now? We're clear now.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you, Baba. All right, so
yeah, everybody's blipping in and out on my end, and the sound quality is all broken up. Like I couldn't even understand Baba Rock just now. He just blipped out. I don't know. I got like 4 bars on my phone, but I got an Android. Can y'all hear me clearly?
Yeah, we can hear you clearly.
Yeah, we can hear you clearly, Baba.
Wow. Maybe I should come off the video screen, and just you can go by voice.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay if you think that. Yeah, it might work a little better.
Because I was thinking if it don't work out, maybe he can call Baba and you do it like I did with Dawn last year.
Oh yeah, that's possible too. But let's see. It's all right. Ah man. So yeah, like you were saying, Baba, you know, that East Coast is easy to run around, man. It's easy to jump from city to city, town to town.
Hey, it's very easy, man. Remember, man, in the 70s, man, in the early 80s, everybody from down south was driving Buick Park Avenues. They was driving town cars, and those were big cars for people with large families. That Ajamu's aunt, his aunt Dream, she had a big white Cadillac that we used to go down south in. You know, her and my mother would load up the kids, load up me and Bobby and Kevin them, and boom, we drive down south, or they would drive down south in 12 to 14 hours. And you know what the music of the time was? The music of the time was the Motown sound. I mean, we listened to Motown and James Brown them all the way down south. You know, because we had she had the 8-track cassette tape in the car and all that. That's how I came up. I came up on the 8-track cassette tapes, man. And his auntie had all of that, man. Her and Miss Francis and my mother, those ladies.
Yeah, can you hear us? Hey, Baba Ajamu, I wanted to ask you real quick, man. I know your father played in the Negro Leagues. Can we talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, I want to know more about that too.
Yeah, while it's clear right now. Let's see what happens. Pops was inspired by Jackie Robinson when he was about 10 years old. And I think Jackie came to Orangeburg one time too, but he pursued that thing, man. Pops was a superstar in the Legion baseball, a league that Orangeburg has where the baseball stadium is in town. He was a superstar. He was a pitcher. And so he chased his dream. He played for South Carolina State. Then he got drafted and played Army ball, and he continued. But prior to getting drafted, before South Carolina State, Pops, at around 17 or 18 years old, actually went for the Indianapolis Clowns because he was just that good. He was a fireballer. And so like he and Hank Aaron were teammates for a year, and then Hank got called up. Pops played for the Kansas City Monarchs, who's also a prominent Negro League baseball team. And
God.
Hey man, that's an amazing piece of history right there. I know the field he's talking about. That's Morrow Field over there by the New City Gym. Man,
I know you're talking about.
His pops had to have been a bad boy. You know, Orangeburg did have a team one time. I think it was called the Orangeburg Tigers.
from what I was told by my grandfather, like you had a lot of great black baseball players in Orangeburg back in the 40s and 50s because his family, they played baseball. Like, and they were great at it.
Okay, Baba, we got you back.
Yeah. I don't know. I got 4 bars on my phone, so I don't know what's going on.
Call me. We might do. I do.
Here we go.
Call me on Messenger, and I'll hold the phone to the microphone.
Yeah.
Hold my phone to the microphone.
Okay. Dad got called by the New York Yankees organization. This was just before I was born, and he wound up being a AAA pitcher for the Yankees. But his Negro League experience, was interrupted by the Army. So, he took his path and went for it hard. Unfortunately, he hurt his pitching arm just before he got called up to the, and I was a baby boy when that happened. So, but legendary in Orangeburg, yeah. My dad, all my dad's friends, they tell stories about Pops, man. And he was a football player too. He played for South Carolina State, football and baseball. Coach Jeffries, legendary coach, who was his teammate, football team, and baseball team. So, I gotta give honors to
What about you, Baba? What you do on the field? What you do on the court?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Hey, no, but I've heard stories of his uncle and my father. I don't know if they played at the old Wilkinson. I know they certainly went to Wilkinson games. I had a picture of my father with a football uniform on, and I just heard stories like he did.
Orangeburg is known for football, man. I just seen a short that said, I think Orangeburg got the most NFL players or something like that. Produced the most NFL players or something like that.
But I got extra footage from this short documentary from Orangeburg in the 1930s and 40s, and they showed State playing against another local black college. So I'm gonna have to send that to Ajamu. Maybe his pops on the field or something. I don't know.
Yeah. He's saying local legend, but a legend is a legend, man.
Nonetheless.
Yeah,
Hey, he talking about Willie Jeffries, man. And Willie Jeffries he's a local. He's been a local hero around here for generations. And matter of fact, he's starting up that new school now down right outside. Well, it's not outside. It's in Orangeburg County.
Yeah,
he's starting a school of excellence now. And a lot of people, a lot of families are signing up for their children to go to his school because they know the type of man he was or is.
Very prominent figure in our community.
Wow. Baba Ajamu, while we got you, man, can you tell us about the Gullah Geechee experience growing up? Like your experience with the cultural aspects of man.
Yo, he got to call me on Messenger, and I can hold him up to the microphone, man.
Yeah, hey, he got a lot to offer, man. He got so much to
give. We can't let this slide. No.
Yeah, man.
Let me call him. I'm gonna mute myself. Let me call him on Messenger.
All right, no problem. You might be able to call in. I don't know if they got like a StreamYard number you can just call in, something like that. I don't know. But it's his internet.
I'm gonna hold you up to the mic and let you start talking. Like, can you? Hey, Gaz, you can hear him clearly?
Yeah. Go ahead and speak, Baba.
Okay, you got my voice.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what's happening, man. Technical difficulties. I mean, I'm on my phone. I'm not on Wi-Fi, so T-Mobile, whatever's going on.
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you now. Clear.
Okay. Good. Now I can hear y'all because I wasn't really hearing anything that was being said except for a couple of seconds. Okay, so about my dad, eventually what happened, and it's interesting, we're talking about the South Carolina Homeboys earlier, and what they had done during the 50s is created a semi-pro league among black baseball teams, because, the Negro Leagues pretty much died during the early 50s. and a lot of cats never got their shot, but they still wanted to play ball. So as we congregated up north, they started forming teams, club teams, in New Jersey, in Connecticut, the Bronx, Manhattan, and Brooklyn. And my dad started being a manager for a couple of different teams, Brooklyn Bombers and the New York White Sox. This is my childhood. And he helped some guys actually get major league tryouts because he was a recommending scout for the Cincinnati Reds. That's how far he had gotten in back baseball. People gave him that respect because he had the talent. You know, he got hurt. But yeah, that baseball thing for Pops, because the Orangeburg aspect of it was during those times in the 50s when he was playing, living in Orangeburg as a youngster, he became popular around the whole town because the baseball team in Orangeburg was like a white team, basically. And baseball was like organized baseball was a white thing in Orangeburg. But they loved my Pops, man, because he was winning games. And that was a very interesting story. And of course, you know, Charlie Pride went on to become one of the great country music singers. He played with my Pops with the Kansas City Monarchs. They were teammates. They were both pitchers.
Oh, man. I didn't know he played baseball. I only knew him for his singing. Yeah, that's an amazing piece of history right there.
Real good.
He didn't get his shot at the majors, but, you know, he went on. Pop said that, you know, he felt like his music was going to be his future. So, and he was right. So,
yeah, but he was a part of that breakthrough generation. He was a part of those who didn't get an opportunity to see their full dreams, but they paved the way for those who now can do that.
Exactly.
And, you know, look at baseball now. It's kind of sad that we've been for years and years now, we haven't really been seeing a lot or many great African-American baseball players.
Yeah.
Because it was a big part of our culture.
Yeah.
Hey, man, my great aunt Dell used to tell me about all the great games that she used to see at Ebbets Field in Brooklyn back in the day. And she was a huge baseball fan, man. I mean,
sisters used to come out. I mean, it was a family thing with this semi-pro league, you know. So all the players' families would be there. This was a stadium over. It was East River Stadium. That's what it was known as, East River Field. So it was over near Spanish Harlem, and you know, it was a thing. It was a thing because flip side, all the baseball teams were called baseball clubs, and all of them had clubhouses, a lot of them in Harlem, in the basement of the apartment buildings.
Yo.
And so on Sundays, that was the clubhouse where they changed into their baseball uniforms. But during the week and on Saturdays, that was the club.
Wow.
They had
That's fire, man. That's fire. That's fire, man.
You know.
Wow. And I appreciate that insight, man. That's what you're saying is so historic, man. And I want to ask you this too, before the disconnection. In terms of the Gullah Geechee culture, and as it relates to Orangeburg and Calhoun County, the inland counties, what kind of Africanism did you experience within the culture in your own life coming up, going down to Orangeburg, going down to see your family? Like, now that we know what the culture is and we can define it in a different kind of way, a lot of people went through it and didn't know that was Gullah Geechee culture. But what's your memory of it?
Well, I mean, basically, family was the first sign, the most obvious sign of Gullah Geechee influence in terms of family life and family connection. And a lot of people that come from different parts of the country will talk about it. But in South Carolina, even in the upcountry interior of Calhoun County, those folks up that way were sharecroppers. Okay. And so the church was the hub of it. The spirituality of it was universal. The family life, the extended family, is one of the main things that I can remember from early childhood going into adulthood. Because my grandfather had a couple of sisters who lived to be very old. And my pops would always visit all of his cousins when he would come down south. So we would make our round. Family church was up in Calhoun County. Antioch Baptist Church, about 14 miles from the hill. So, you know, weekly services, my granddaddy was a deacon. I would spend time around those folks as we would gather up, or gather outside after services was over. It was always going to be like an hour before we left the church or whatever. And then my grandmother's sisters, Grandma Sadie's sisters, lived pretty close to Antioch. So then we would spend a lot of time over there. That is when I got my infusion of like the dialect, you know, how folks talked, the whole thing of the food and the ceremonies that kind of went with it. It was a protocol, you know. The women was with the women, the men gathered amongst themselves and had their conversation. There was no mixing of conversations. Children had their place, and just in terms of respect for, you know, your elders and all of that was thoroughly in place. Even age grouping, man, you know, depending on your age amongst your cousins and whatnot, there was like a protocol, and expect and respect if somebody was older than you, and how, you know, you related to kids that were younger than you, you know. So those kind of things, you know, are unconscious, but they very much in public culture, very much reflective of how we maintain. Okay, the manhood rites of passage or whatever. There was a thing for country people that when a boy get a certain age, you're gonna learn how to handle a firearm, and that was part of the process. And then connected to the church, whether you're gonna join the church, whether you're gonna become a member of that church family, which was an extension of the culture as well. Mm-hmm. And then the music of Antioch Baptist Church. Antioch was one of those churches with that solid wood floor, and then the cross was underneath the floor. So there was stomping. That was the drumming. There was a lot of hand clapping in the songs, and then particularly, you know, certain songs during funeral rites. Very, very powerful, man. When you think about how different denominations practice their spirituality or whatever, but it's very, very African-centered when you talk about those old school out in the country Baptist churches and how they went about their business, man. So then of course, Antioch had a church cemetery that was in back of the church. And when I was youngster, when I first moved down to Orangeburg, you know, avid reader, Alex Haley had just started working seriously on his Roots project, and he actually had put out a condensed version of the book long before the book came out, long before the movie television series came out. And so I had an opportunity to read all that stuff that he had been building up. It was the early parts of the Roots book. And man, I got obsessed with ancestry. You know, with dudes. I want to be this Alex. This is 16, 17. So I started interviewing my grandma, interviewing my grandfather, and all of that, and then going up to the cemetery and seeing my ancestors' grave sites, seeing their headstones, their dates of birth, and dates of death. It inspired something in me, you know, that just really told me, you got to find the root of all this. Where does all this come? It's obviously African. Grandma told you that when you were a little boy, but where does this really come from? And so that's how I began my really serious approach to finding out more about Gullah society, history, culture, all of that. We had family reunions where relatives were coming up from down in Walterboro, St. George, down that way. And so I said, oh, you know, we got a Charleston connection, because if they were in Walterboro, that's only like 30 minutes from Charleston.
Yeah.
So they decided there was an interior migration that happened. That was the clue. From down in the low country up into Calhoun County. Now, for the generation that came up that way, they were probably just out of slavery and moved up into their area based on some of the birth strips and checking with some other cousins over the years. So probably in the turn of the century, you know, or late 1890s is when folks started moving up into that Calhoun County area, which was at that time still Orangeburg County, I think. So, yeah. Now, culturally, after the sharecropping, my grandmother's sister, Aunt Kissy Man, Uncle Tessie Man, they were farmers. They had a big old piece of land that they lived on that my great-great-grandfather, Reuben Banneker, was the one that sort of, I think, led a bunch of people out of, what is that, Colleton County, where Walterboro is?
Colton.
To Calhoun County, what became Calhoun County. And because he was like older than my grandmother's sister's parents' generation, he was like the oldest out of all of them, really. I think he was the leader, because when they got up there, somehow or another, he came into a whole bunch of land, like more than 100 acres of land. I'm still trying to find out how that happened, but during that time frame was when land was being appropriated by Black folks in that area. Because this is the road that will take you up to Swansea, that lived on
Lexington
towards Columbia, right? So up in that area, there was plenty of land, still is. But Granddaddy Reuben, he came into a bunch of land, so he was like a prominent figure in the community. Our family helped build Antioch Baptist Church, the original one, in like the early 1910s, the Hager McClennon side. So, because we're not really, we descendants of Hamp Hager, who had a lot of children in Calhoun County. Anyway, coming into that land, Grandpapa Reuben was, you know, a very, very generous person. And they went through a lot during the Jim Crow era. My great-grandfather helped people, South Carolina, by selling off parcels of his land and helping them get the money to get on that train or get in their car and get out of there from that area, because there was some real notorious stuff that was going on. You still had the white folks living up there, those farmers out there that wanted to keep us under their thumb. So culturally, they were still growing, you know, basic crops. I don't remember any rice growing. I know Uncle Tetchy Man grew cotton. My granddaddy grew cotton on the hill, on our little piece of land, when we would come down in the house.
Yeah. I believe Mr. Henry did have a little plot of land up there, I believe. Yeah.
That's where Neva's house is now. God bless her. So the house got built in 1931. But Granddaddy built the house that we had for a very long time himself. But it's really about a quarter acre. We're not talking about much land. But what he called the garden, we called the farm. Because, you know, half an acre is still a piece of land.
Nonetheless.
Right? So, you know, eventually he stopped planting cotton though. But I remember third grade, Miss Crown, my teacher, she was teaching us back in the early 60s at that time about our heritage and our roots and this and that, and other New York kids, you know. And I said to her, well, Miss Crown, you know, my daddy's from down south and we go down there all the time. And this was almost Easter break. And I told her we were going pretty soon. And I told her, you know, if you want me to, I could bring something back from down south. And she had been talking about cotton. So I told my daddy, and on the way back, we stopped by the side of the road, picked a little bit of, broke off a piece of cotton branch off the plant, you know, put on back up there. And when I got back to school, man, I'll never forget that day. I brought out that piece of cotton, and Miss Crown was like, "Oh my goodness, oh I love you so much. Oh, y'all really from down south?" You know, brought back all kinds of memories. I'll never forget that. But even at that young age, you know what I'm saying? The traditions had an impact. So
yeah, it's powerful, man.
A grassroots
those
culture.
folks up there, they still country. You know, they still another thing. Part of our tradition, Gullah Geechee tradition, was like, yeah, we had the praise houses, you know, and camp meetings and all that, but we had juke joints too.
Yeah,
That's right.
And so folks gotta have a good time. And up the way out in Calhoun County like that, they got some hole in the walls up that way, you know.
yeah, they still do, Baba. They still got them. They got them all around. It ain't as much as it used to be, but there's still little pockets, joints, a little hole in the walls. Matter of fact, I was strolling through one yesterday. As a matter of fact, I was out in Cordova hanging out I was with Bruce yesterday, Chief. So yeah, Bruce Busby, you know, them Parker boys, they love to keep a little hole in the wall spot. You know, little wink, wink. You know,
Little wink, wink.
Yeah, how Bertie Mac said, man, just a little business,
That's all. Little old man business.
Tell too much. Don't tell it too much.
Yeah. Hey, you know, Baba Ajamu, man. You narrating this orally, like the oral tradition and what you've seen, it matched exactly with what the research that we've been presenting as well. Yep. Especially when we're talking about the migration of low country African families into Calhoun and Orangeburg County. Before there was a Calhoun County.
That was part
of same timeline, that 1890, they had a whole bunch of terrible storms, storms that chased people from down the low country. A lot of people were like, man, I'm going inland. So people had cousins, aunties, brothers, sisters that already had went inland. And so there was stuff happening at the coast that had to do with the weather as well. There was some tropical storms that destroyed a lot of property. A lot of people ran from the low country into the inlands right before the last century began. And it looked like those same people was the ones who pioneered the migration from that region too. Having left the low country, going into the Midlands, there were also the people who ended up going up north.
Mm-hmm. And all of that was happening. Yeah,
to me, it sounds like maybe that Baba's family was coming up through that Colington, Walterboro side. Yeah, our family is more on that Bamberg, Barnwell side. But you know, they went up to Calhoun, but still Orangeburg was still like the hub.
It depends. It depends. It depends because if we're talking about the Sally family, we're talking about the Friday and them. They was down on James Island. Yeah. They ended up. They were down on Johns Island. They ended up in Fort Mott. Fort Mott had an all-black freedmen community. Calhoun County had an all-black freedmen community. And we talked about it last time.
And even at that time, that wasn't even Calhoun. That was the upper part of Orangeburg.
That was Orangeburg. That was the Orangeburg. It wasn't moving to
Calhoun. Remember that Orangeburg stretched all the way up to Lexington County. All of that, the whole area was Orangeburg. That was Orangeburg district. That's what makes it so hard when you're doing your genealogical research and everything. You have to remember that all of that at one time was Orangeburg. You know, and then it became Lexington, then it became Calhoun County.
Yeah,
so if you don't know that and you looking through the records, it'll throw you off. It'll confuse you. So you have to look at the big picture and realize that at one point, this was all Orangeburg.
Well, that's why the three of us do what we do, man. We make it easy for
Exactly.
Yeah, man. Make it plain.
You know it is.
Make it plain.
Okay. From that cemetery Okay, now I'm in college at South Carolina State. I'm on the road with the basketball team. So we go up to D.C. each season to play against Howard and Morgan State and Maryland Eastern Shore and Delaware State. That was the route right there. And while we were in D.C., each road trip, I would go to the National Archives, Congressional Library thing, and go through the microfilm of census records. This would have been like 75, 76, 77.
Oh, wow.
And find my relatives' names on the census records. You know, so I was doing the genealogical research at that time. And this was right along with the whole thing with knowing that Haley did that kind of work. And he's the one that gave me a clue how you get it done. Just so you didn't just have cemetery records, you didn't just have oral tradition, didn't just have county records, but you also had the federal archive to work from as well. You know, and so being in this time where you have access to technology, that's like a game changer all the way. Where you can verify the stories, you can match up dates on the headstones, all that kind of thing, you know. So yeah,
absolutely. You know, we find it ironic. We find it a contradiction that people actually believe that Gullah Geechee culture could expand and spread north and south along the coast 1,000 miles. They can't go 100 miles inland.
That's insanity.
That kills us. That makes us feel so disrespected, right? Because it doesn't make sense. And you know, going into the records will just prove the mythology of those who actually parrot that kind of narrative. Embracing the expansive narrative allows us to really get into the genealogy of it and follow the stories, follow the roots, because we might be saying certain people is not, but we have a large Gullah Geechee culture, man. Large Gullah Geechee heritage.
I wanted to ask Baba one more question here, because I know he had a radio station one time. I think he used to do a radio station up on South Carolina State, probably one of the first stations up there that introduced African drumming, or you know, I believe he might have had a reggae station one time too, if I remember correctly. Baba, am I right?
When this was?
True that, man. Okay, so WSSB got started in 1987, 1988, something like that. And I had come back to school to finish up my degree. And the first couple of years of the show, of the station, you know, they were trying to put on a variety of music, this, that, and the other. A good friend of mine, after he got out the Navy, he was doing a jazz show, and he told me about them wanting to do some other format, some other programming. And he said, "You got all that music, man. Why don't you see what they're talking about?" Which I went ahead and did. So the talking drum, because I was into the culture at that point, I had already been totally involved with Oyo Tunji and all that kind of cultural level. But I wanted to share the message music that was in reggae music, because it was uplifting, you know, and being in the South like that, unless you were in Charleston and could listen to Osei Chandler's show, and his range was not that good, or if you were in Columbia, you could catch some reggae music. But in Orangeburg, college students, no. So I said, I'm going to do this. And I used to come on after the hip-hop show. I forget the name of them, but they were on my trip. But yeah, at that time is when dancehall music was starting to grow. But I was playing reggae. All the traditional music of the band names I don't really have to name, but this was the message music that reggae music was putting out that was still relatively popular. And I would do a little bit of dancehall towards the end of the show before the hip hop guys came on. But also, I wanted to inject that African aspect of reggae music by playing African music, popular traditional African music, and just introducing community, because our broadcast signal went pretty far. I also did was I would have guests come on. I had some of the history professors on the show. We have discussions and calling questions. And one of the knowledge professors was the nephew of Pop. And I had a chance to interview him on the air. This local, not local, but this Trinidadian steel pan band, they came through the studio, we sat down and chopped it up. I used to play a lot of dub reggae and have Marcus Garvey features playing in the background. Malcolm X features playing in the background. I do it 4 hours every Saturday. And I did it for free. It was public radio. But I had some sponsors through both. A lot of Caribbeans in the area used to call into the show like, man, they got music, man. And I was like, yeah, well, so, because I used to talk with a Caribbean accent when we be on the air, you know. And we mash it up in a rubber duck style, you know.
Yeah, man.
That's cool, man. That's very cool, man. Because it was in the late 70s, early 80s when I was into that reggae scene very hard back then, man. That reggae and hip hop came out around about the same time. It was very popular. It was very popular in the 78, 79, 80. Man, that dub music was banging.
Yeah, but it should have been out. And Roy, all them dudes, man. And
oh yeah,
I like that. They still good music.
Oh yeah. But I still listen to Roy and Roy today, man. I listen to all that reggae music today. I'm an early hip hop man, you know. But yeah. Did you get involved with? Remember back then? That was when the music was very Afrocentric. When even hip hop, when we used to wear the Malcolm X medallions, everybody used to rock the Malcolm X baseball cap, the baseball caps with the X on it. I'm sure you did all that too as well, Baba. You know, because you used it in Harlem, and that's what everybody wore in Harlem back then.
Yeah, it was a popular period of time, you know. African people, you know. Fortunately, the powers that be recognized that very early on in the process, you know, of seeing that brothers coming that had done time, that had gotten resurrected during hard time in prison or whatever, and came into knowledge of self in prison, was coming out as Fruit of Islam, or they were coming out as 5%ers, or they were just coming out with supreme wisdom and getting into hip hop. Okay, and that messaging really radicalized our community nationwide, and it also impacted internationally as well. So by the time the Malcolm X movie came out, you know, we were primed to get something done as a people. That was the early 90s, but unfortunately, you know, the powers that be saw that they could still make money with garbage music, you know, with music, and not trying to educate people on where we came from. None of that. We're going to talk about the hood, and we're going to talk about the H's and the B's, and how many gaps I got. And, you know, if I got to pull out Miami, then it's going down. That kind of all of that, man. It was sad because it was influenced by the West Coast gang culture, right? New York had already been that in the 70s. Now here we are all the way up in the 90s, and they're putting this music out like this, and there's on to the history. That was, and that major influence. I mean, going back to Orangeburg, living on the hill, I got out in 84, and the whole territorial battle between the boys and the Florida boys up on the hill.
Yeah.
It's outrageous, man, what was going on in a little town like that. It was very devastating for Orangeburg. And like the Hill had always been known as the place where the nightclubs were, you know, the hole in the walls. You mentioned Parker earlier. You knew the Parkers, Baba J?
What did he say?
More joy. He said you mentioned the Parkers earlier.
Oh, yeah, man. But I knew some other spots up on the hill, like Miss Cardwell's spot, Miss Janie Robinson's spot. Those were places up on the hill where people used to hang out at. But yeah,
is that around the area where my grandma was at? Like
right up the road from your grandmama house. Your grandmama house was at the bottom of the hill on Golf. That's further up where Ajamu's family is. It's further up on Alva Street, Coleman, Jameson, Nance Street. That's the hill up there. That's where they had a couple of little hole in the walls. Miss Caldwell spotted Miss Robinson, but that was before. That was before all the other activities took place, man. Before the crack epidemic and all that. You know that's what changed the hill.
Yeah, it changed the whole world, boy. It definitely.
Yeah.
How about Rob? You remember Parker's nightclub, right?
Yeah. I mean, my brother. I mean, I don't know. You may have known my brother. My brother was going to Wilkinson High School at the time. He did what you was talking about earlier, around 71, 72. That's when my brother was going to the OW right after they integrated. So
yeah. I wasn't down here yet though. But I was just gonna say about Parker's. Mr. Parker was the father of one of my great friends, Clemson Parker, because you said something about the Parkers earlier, and I was like, Clemson and I used to drum together, African drum, and he was a great jazz, blues. He could play anything. He was a great drummer, man, great talent, and a serious brick mason too.
Yeah, didn't you you knew Skip Pearson, or you knew of Skip Pearson back then?
Me and Skip used to play together, man. Skip's house was over near where you live, not too far.
Exactly. Skip's wife was my babysitter, man. I ain't gonna say babysitter, but I used to have to go over to Skip Pearson's house after school. I would walk over there from state when my mother was in class. His wife Ann, used to be my babysitter. Whatever you want to call it, caretaker, whatever. I remember, man, they had one of the meanest German shepherds on Dutton Street. Yeah, we grew up. I grew up on Dutton Street as well, right around the corner from State College.
Yeah, like I in my day was a pretty good conga drummer and African percussionist, and so there was a spot downtown that used to have a blues night every Thursday night. And we would meet up down there. Parker bring his drums, I bring my drums, and we had a keyboard dude, Greg, and Skip used to come with his saxophone.
Yeah. He was a sax player. But I don't know if you heard of him, Chief, but Skip Pearson was a well-known jazz man in Orangeburg. I believe he's in the Jazz Hall of Fame here from South Carolina. But he was well known. He was well known across the state for he was an innovator, man. He was a sax man, and he played all over the state. He might have traveled the world with it, but he was very well known. Baba's friend, the young lady, her name is Stephanie, I believe Stephanie. Yeah. I believe Stephanie might have she might be related to Skip, or might be his in-laws or something like that. Well, yeah, she would be connected to Skip Pearson as well.
Yeah, you're talking about Sister Stephanie.
Yeah.
That's my sister, man. We know since we were kids.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know y'all knew each other as kids. I mean, I knew y'all grew up together.
Yeah. So, yeah. Many years. Our families were real close, and the Bruce was on her father's side, going back to her granddaddy. So, her brother was one of my best friends as a young. She was a little girl. She was younger, a little bit younger than me.
I think what was it? Was it her father who kind of introduced you to that Oyotunji Yoruba culture? I believe so. I believe he had something to do with that.
Now her pops, I'm not sure. Not Mr. Pearson.
Okay.
Me and my dad were homeboys from Orangeburg. That was one of the main things, and my uncle. So as in our youth, that's how I knew Mr. Pearson. Now, the introduction to Oyotunji is on another level. If you want to talk about that a little bit, because I'm old. I got a lot of
sure. For sure, let's hear it. Yeah, let's get it.
Okay. When I was at state, I was still very much like influenced somewhat by Islam. I had been a practicing Muslim for a little while, but then when I realized that Malcolm Al-Hajj Malik al-Shabazz decided that he couldn't go with those teachings anymore, I did the Sunni Muslim thing for a while, but the loss of my grandmother, God rest her soul, kind of really shook me, and it didn't really have answers for me in terms of how I was grieving. And I had a friend, a Yoruba friend, on campus my freshman year. And he was a little bit older, Suleiman Lawal. And he told me, I wasn't 18 yet, he said, the way you speak, you sound very much like an Ajamu. And I was like, Ajamu? What is that? And he was like, oh, that means he fights for what he wants. And I was like, okay. And what culture is that? And he's like, Yoruba. So I started getting it for Yoruba. And so this is like 1974, 75. The next year, I was reading all kinds of books and listening to Baba Olatunji's music, Drums of Passion, and trying to learn how to say words and all of that. And then in 76, the Oba Adefumi of Oyotunji and the Royal Dance Troupe came to South Carolina State. It was in May. Never forget it. And I was like, wow, this is the reason I was supposed to come down south, So went through the lecture, and kind of interviewed folks and everything. And they said that they would be having a tour of Oyotunji at some point. So what happened, what came about is that my Department of Social Sciences, King Building, we went down to Oyotunji and to the center, Penn Center, on a trip for the campus before school got out. And we got a chance to take a tour of Oyotunji that day. And we went to the Penn Center and learned all the history and all that kind of thing. And while we were in Oyotunji is when it really clicked within me that it was part of my destiny. All right. And so wound up going down there the following weekend, which was Memorial Day weekend. School was getting out. And they had the Egungun Festival that they have annually, and actually spent the weekend in Oyotunji. So one trip, just tour, next weekend, basically, we down there. We, meaning me and my two sisters, Cal and Geneva, because they hadn't actually gotten invited. But mine is when being down there after dark, to see what really goes on in Oyotunji, not the tourist stuff, is what introduced me into Orisha veneration, Orisha devotion, and the whole Ifa culture. Post that, then is when I really started taking weekend trips there, because I was off campus. I was a junior. I was off campus. I used to spend my weekends in Oyotunji for almost a solid year before I actually moved down there to live. And that was 7. Yeah, man. That thing happened at that time because nobody, all I knew about was the drumming from growing up in New York and hearing the Puerto Ricans on the corner playing them congas. I went to Oyotunji initially to learn how to drum. That was my original purpose.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's powerful.
That's powerful, man. That's very, very powerful. You know, it's a lot of people going through similar processes right now as they, you know, we're doing our soul searching, man. We're looking for our right culture, our right spiritual system. And just to hear that, you know, that long ago, because I'm almost 50 now. And I'm 79. And so it's like, man, that's a long time that you've been a devotee. And you watched this thing grow from something that was very small to now you see it all over the place, right?
It's amazing. Spanish speakers, the Cubans, the Puerto Ricans, the Dominicans, they felt they were against the Oba actually spreading the culture. They fought him. They said that, you know, no, we don't want the gringos knowing our stuff, but even though they may have been gringo themselves, it was supposed to be like a secret society kind of thing. And the Oba was like, no, our people don't have no knowledge of who they are. You know, no knowledge of their history, their culture. That's what they pushed all the time with Oyotunji. And he said he was going to make it spread across the country. And it happened. It happened. Amazing process. Amazing
around
process.
the world now. Yeah. Powerful.
Yeah.
Very powerful.
And the thing about it, you know, is that to this day, the Hispanic population, they still have that attitude that that's something that belongs to them. The Cubans, some Cubans have even opened up their own houses and say it's separate from the Yoruba, you know, that is part of their Cuban heritage, you know, that kind of thing. But whatever, you know, it's all because really the connection is, and fundamentally, this is African traditional spiritual belief. The connection starts with your ancestors. It starts with ancestral veneration and tribute and honoring, you know, those who came before us and what they were able to pass down to us. That's the introduction to Yoruba's traditional belief, you know, is through your ancestors. And for me, my introduction in Oyotunji was being initiated into the Egungun Society, Egbe Egungun, which is the Ancestor Society. And so I was a member of the Egbe Egungun while I was there, because my Baba, Chief Alakba Ajamu Ogunyele, he was the second man to the Oba on the council of elders for the village, and he was very much into the ancestors. So he really put it on and put it in us, me and my brother Kofo, that we were destined to be ones that were going to lead folks towards the ancestors one way or another. So that's where the Gullah Geechee comes in, you know. So that's what it's about, man. To this day.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Real, real powerful, man. I just seen that the Ezi Eri or the king of one of the Igbo kings is currently in Georgia, and they was commemorating Igbo landing like yesterday in Georgia, and just to see everything come full circle, it's powerful. You know, Baba Ajamu, I want to thank you, brother, for the time that you made for us, and also just the work that you put in, man. You know, you might not see it as work, but it's work. It contributes. You've been a contributor. Your family has contributed, and we appreciate you, brother.
You want to say one more thing, Chief?
Yeah, it's about the creation thing, and maybe we can do a part 2, because we are in some dynamic times right now, you know, and as Garvey'ites and UNIA people, we are witnessing something that is beyond imagination in terms of what Honorable Marcus Garvey could have imagined when we start to talk about larger numbers of Africans from around the world coming back to live in the motherland. And I wanted to talk a little bit about our group, our Facebook group, going back like 12, 13 years to Africa. you know, and what I believe was the influence that it had on this growth in the repatriation movement coming through the 90s into the 2000s and now up to this point here where we are in 2025. So that's another conversation, but I appreciate y'all so much, you know, with this opportunity, despite the technical difficulties and all that, which was kind of crazy because when I watched the show, you know, y'all blip out occasionally, but this time it was like, wow. I was like, what's going on? But yeah, we're going to do another one. We'll do another one down the road.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You know what? Before we go, maybe we could talk about the Back to Africa page and the work that you did there, man, because it's been very instrumental. I witnessed it. You know, before I even got here, you was kicking that program, and that page used to really jump. And I've seen a lot of people from that group become repatriates.
Yeah. And some moved and wound up coming back to the United States and everything. But for me at that time, and brother, was Darryl connected to that at that time? No.
Yeah.
Well, the RTA, Repatriation to Africa thing, with Sister Yah, who was, you know, very instrumental early on. Sister Yah Santewa Tonya Sapir. She was one of the originals. From the first meeting that we had, conference call, Brother Peter Brown was one of the originals. And myself, Abraham came along later. Sister Terefa Erna Terefa, who has been over in Ghana forever, and was a close associate of, she calls herself Mama One Africa now. But the sister that Africa in Ghana that was so popular for a very long period of time, she was one of the originals. Brandon, what's Brandon's last name? He's the brother that does Migrating Culture. Brandon. He was one of the originals. Brother Yazidi,
Muhammad,
his mother, Sister Muhammad, God bless her soul. She was one of the originals. So there were like some folks that were like really serious repatriated minded folks. And Brother Curtis Murphy was the one that started. And you know, the thing I tried to do once I got in was like after about the first couple of weeks online just chit-chatting. I wanted to recruit as many people that were repatriation as possible. So I went on a personal campaign, man, you know, and just started spreading the word and you know, as people would come on and comment and stuff and, you know, adding them on and then people to come through, we grew from like a group of about 8 people into a Facebook group of 18,000 people really fast. And I was like,
wow,
this is happening. This is really happening.
Yeah. That's a movement.
We had Minister Akbar from the Nation of Islam. We had Dr. Alim Abdul Muhammad from the Nation of Islam as part of it. Hakim Mabudi joined. It was amazing. It was amazing the kind of growth that we had. So I believe that was like a catalyst for further interest in a repatriation type movement amongst our people. People, friends of friends, all of that was happening. And, you know, I consider it a success, even though it's evolved because Curtis eventually dropped out of it for whatever reason. He was living over in Ghana for a while. The whole thing was really built around Tihanka and that village that was supposed to come about and that whole land allocation that the Akwamu people of Ghana had provided for us in the diaspora to be able to come back and live on the land and build a community and all of that. But it got sabotaged because of egos and personal interests and a lot of craziness. There's some stories I could tell you about what actually went down with that. because Pihampra was the focus of the reason for coming together as a group in order to promote Pihampra and get people involved with Pihampra to go ahead and build that village like it was supposed to be. And then we had another access to another 39,000 acres if we had gotten it together, you know. But when the union got infiltrated and people's money started getting, and then the family that was on the land, they sabotaged the whole thing, actually.
Yeah.
That's another story. But we were on the verge of something very powerful. And actually, it influenced the return to Africa, what do they call it? You know, Ghana's
the year of return, absolutely.
It influenced that because Akufo-Addo was paying attention. No doubt in my mind. And the president at the time when we got started, President Kufuor was paying attention. Muhammad came after him. And so Ms. Erna had some association with Jerry Rawlings. He was still living. So it was coming, it was happening anyway, but RTA definitely boosted it here in the Atlanta metro area. We did several different things at the Festival a few years in a row. And so,
absolutely.
You know, I'm very proud of what's come about, because now you got all of these settlements going on all over Ghana, you know, for repatriates. And now it's spread into Benin. They just announced that they got a new policy about being able to come to Benin.
They just gave Sierra her citizenship. Yeah, Benin. She just got citizenship like yesterday over there.
Yes, supposedly in Benin, and she really on the creation thing with us in Benin. That was back like that would have been around 2012, 2013. Yeah, that's just, I can't remember her name right now, but she was really on it at that time. So to see Benin something, you know, in modern times is an amazing thing. And then of course Sierra Leone, Liberia announced recently that, you know, 2 folks had got citizenship, but that's a whole story because Liberia used to be in there.
I remember the movement, man. It was powerful. It was very influential. RTA had a lot of splinters. It influenced the movement at a time where people wasn't really thinking about repatriation as much as they are now. Definitely contributed. Definitely.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, you know, as an elder, as a senior, to see that kind of consciousness coming back around again. Because the last time we really had it going on was during the hip hop era, and right around Malcolm X. And then, you know, as far as dressing up and trying to show that you're proud of being African, the Black Panther movie, we didn't even get a chance to discuss that because I got some opinions about that and
Yeah.
So we have to.
We're gonna bring you back.
We're gonna have to bring you back.
We're gonna have to bring you back definitely more and more often. Specifically talk about, you know, about things like this, man, for sure. This is just the first time we was able to get you on the program, man. But you know, like we said, this is your platform.
Finally,
this platform.
Yeah, I was trying to trying to be kind of low key on it because I wanted to see the younger generation take the lead and just be an advisor. But I can do this too, you know.
Yeah, man.
I had my time. I had my chance to do my thing, you know. And wherever we're gonna go is the younger generation that's gonna take us there. So anybody want to hear what I got to say? I definitely got some things that I can say, you know.
I'd love to hear what you got to say.
Yeah, as a person who is trained as a social scientist, you know, my perspective, and even though I don't hold those degrees, I have a master's in public administration, but when we talk about PhD level knowledge of certain things and study, I got that. I don't know what I know. So many brilliant brothers out that were not lettered, who knew a lot and contributed a lot. So whatever my voice can do to help uplift somebody's understanding of who they are. That's what I'm going to be about to the day I die. So
all right.
That's good, man.
So you know, just so you know, man, we got some events coming up in Orangeburg. Definitely going to be throwing you invites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to be trying to come through Orangeburg more often too. I spent a long time just being here in Atlanta and trying to get into the Atlanta scene, but living so far in the suburbs, I can't really connect up with brothers and sisters like I want to. But I try my best to be at certain events and whatnot and stay in touch with certain people like Quixote, Scarborough, and just try to make sure that they know that they got an older brother who knows their struggle, because our people are difficult, man, when it comes down to this kind of thing. And we have to try our best to be patient. We didn't all know what we know now, and just try to give them baby food until we can get them up to the point where they can eat some meat for real.
There you go. There you
go. I'm glad to hear you say that, Baba. And man, yeah, we're gonna have to bring you back. And man, it's still, even with all the technical difficulties, it still was very powerful. So you have a lot to say to us. You have a lot to say to us, and you have a lot to contribute, because we creating a new thing here in Orangeburg with GNONA. It's powerful. So I think we are moving in the right direction. And man, I look forward to having you. When you come to Orangeburg, you know where to find me at. You can look me up anytime in the burg.
Yeah. I'm not coming through the like with these technical difficulties. Maybe if you, Dom, and myself were all in the same spot at the same time, that we wouldn't have so much technical difficulties when we go on air.
Right.
Well, you know what, man? We're working on a spot right now where we can all congregate our cosmic green spot area. Hopefully, when we get things up and running, you can come out there to the cosmic green spot. We gotta get Dom out there, and maybe we can all gather in one spot, and that would make things easier. But either way, man, we like you, man. You one of us. You're the elder, man. You showed us the way with all you have contributed over the years, man.
I did a little bit of something. I ain't tell you about the basketball stuff I did in Orangeburg, but I used to run a gym at Howard Middle School, Old Wilkinson High School.
I know. One of your former teammates, man. Well, not teammate, one of your guys that used to play for you, Warren Tyler, good friend of mine. He spoke to me about you several times. But I think
that name again. Who?
Warren Tyler, your cousin, Dom.
Right?
Yeah, your cousin, Dom. I think Ajamu used to coach him or something one time Yeah. Hey, believe it or not, man, there's connections here that everybody may not know, but believe me, we've been around long enough to know, well, I know the different connections. So, I mean.
Yeah, but go ahead, Bob, what you were saying?
No, I'm just saying we all have these connections.
Clarence and each other.
Say that again.
Do you know Clarence and Lonnie Tyler?
No, I don't know them, but I can ask the older ones. They probably know them. But
that's your people too, Dominique, Clarence Tyler. Them, I know them boys. I know Clarence Tyler. They from Norway. Yeah, that's our Glenn and Warren people.
Yeah. I didn't heard them names being brought up.
Clarence Tyler. Yeah. He from out Norway. We all connected, man. We've been all connected for several generations now.
Several centuries.
Yeah. So even before we were in this country, some of us, I believe, were connected in the old country.
Absolutely. What you saying, Baba Ajamu?
Yes, sir. Our ancestors knew each other.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what I'm seeing. They knew each other, and they was like, "Yeah, y'all gonna connect up again." But check this out, Clarence, I need on Albert Street in the trailer. He had a trailer that she rented out.
Yeah.
And they did that for years. Just to show a connection. Yeah, I know them good. It was good, man. They was up from up there in the Cope area and all that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, man. All right, my battery about to die, y'all. God bless y'all. You know, and bless it that y'all on basis. You know, always give reverence to them every morning when you get up, because without them, we wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
All right.
Yep. All right, y'all have a
Peace,
great
Baba. You too, brother. Thank you very much for your time, man.
Peace.
Hey,
yeah, man.
All in all, family. I mean, Ajamu got a lot to tell us, man. We're gonna have to bring him back.
Knowledge.
We're gonna have to bring,
You know, he's a legend himself in terms of you know, developing Black consciousness in Orangeburg and you know, back in the 70s and stuff like that, man. Like, that's a different level of trying to introduce African consciousness back then to the community back then as a youth. So, you know, I commend him for that, man. And Baba Ajamu has always been solid. He's been consistent with his loyalties. You know, he's not flim-flam.
Man, I'm gonna tell y'all this, man. My wife Lisa, when she saw the connection between me and Ajamu, she was amazed. She was surprised. She said, "You guys, you know, y'all have a strong connection. I can see that y'all been doing this thing a very long time." She saw how powerful it was between me and the McClennon family. Like I say, that branch of the McClennon family, I've known them for generations, man. So they're more than blood. We're family, man. We family for generations. It don't even have to do anything with a straight blood connections. But I've known his family for forever. I've known them, and my mama and my daddy was tight with his people. So that's a good
man. That brother, his analysis is so tight, and I would like to see how we can definitely get him, you know, get him on the platform more. Definitely, right. Because
absolutely,
if the information that he has is like, that's exactly what this generation needs right now. We need his story. We need to understand how he's seeing things. We need his guidance. Very powerful elder right there, man. Shout out to Baba.
Because the places he was naming, like, you know, my people were in those spaces at the same time, so there's a connection.
You know, one thing I noticed, he was talking about Swansea. He was talking about the communities along the North Fork. He was talking about the same communities that we've been studying, right?
Exactly.
Like, yeah, you know, we came up from the Low Country. We was right there in Swansea or this area. I'm like, man, this sounds just like what we've been. This is where we get the Disto Geechee from.
Naming one of the ways how Orangeburg has Gullah Geechee heritage. People being sold straight from Africa to Orangeburg district. People from the Low Country being sold, and people migrating up that way. So
that's right. That's right. Say that
right in.
Yeah, absolutely. So, man, that was a good one, y'all. Definitely. Shout out to everybody out there who tuned in. Thank y'all so much, man. We do this for y'all. And also the people who ain't definitely necessarily tapped in yet, but they're on the way. Our people coming home to get information about themselves. This show will provide them ample information to get started in their search of self. Along the pathway, getting back to them Gullah roots, getting back to them South Carolina roots, getting back to them Georgia roots, whatever roots you get back to, even the African roots. So, man, yeah, it's an honor, man, to do this with y'all, you know, every other week, man. So, definitely.
Great show, guys. Great show.
Yeah, man. So we're gonna get out of here, but hey, y'all can catch us in 2 weeks. We don't know exactly who we're gonna bring next, but stay tuned. Stay tuned.
It's sure to be a banger.
Guaranteed. Ain't no doubt about it. All right, family.
Jag minns ju den tid du gav mig life billar jag. Nu vill jag kunna ge tillbaka allt jag inte kunna ge förut. Det finns ingen annan där som kan stå här by my side, oh why. Sättet du rör på det får mig att dö för det, baby. För de här yardis, de vill ju bara dra ner oss. Men du är fett och vanlig. Och det jag lägger är min tid. Jag vill ha dig. Du får mig känna safety. Jag kan nog leda, baby. Och jag kommer aldrig ändra mig.